Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network. GABNET needs you. Yes, GABNET needs you to call our live programs and be a part of the citizen panels. It's the most innovative talk format yet because it's not just one caller, it's a group of callers interacting with the hosts at the same time. Here's how you do it. It's simple. First, download Skype at skype.com. To install it, answer 4 simple questions: first name, last name, email address, and your choice of ID. Then launch Skype, go to Add Contacts, type in GABNET Live, and ask to be made a contact. Then you're ready to be on the citizen panel. If you're too lazy, well, you can always call on the phone at 347-352-0079. That's 347-352-0079. For all the information and a call button for Skype, log on to gabnet.net. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a video on how to call us and how to use GABNET. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be more fun and exciting. We're new. We're different. But we need you to call. So for crying out loud, call or we'll kill this dog. Don't worry, Fluffy. They won't let you die. I'm not kidding. Call or Fluffy gets it. Oopsie. We're GABNET, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Harlan Ellison totally insisted that there were no sounds in space on Babylon 5. Watching it for 20 minutes will clearly show that there are sounds in space. So what the fuck are you pulling this out of, Mr. Harlan Ellison? That pretty much cemented the idea of who Harlan was in my brain.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
You don't think Bill Clinton's a pervert?
No, I don't.
Go ahead.
No, I really don't. I think I think he's a man who let his dick talk for him. You know, I think he's a guy who was pursued by a young woman and should have said no, but he didn't. Now, the only woman I ever talked to that fucked Bill Clinton was Jennifer Flowers. She kept saying during the interview, you know, I really did have sex with Bill Clinton. And I asked her the question, I said, that's not what's important to me. What's important to me was he a gentleman? And she said, he was terrific. She said, every time we'd have sex, the next day he would call and see if I was okay. He never dodged my calls. If I wanted to call him, he was absolute gentleman.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
We now know that Trump doesn't hate all Democrats. He at least likes the Democrats who he perceives to be as crooked as he is.
Ah, wait a minute, ring that bell!
I mean, between Menendez and Blagojevich, you know, who we pardon.
Mm-hmm. If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
There's a lot of long-ass games come knockout round because they have to finish. So you have to play up to 120 minutes plus a penalty shootout. A penalty kick shootout.
Finally, you can get hot and bothered on Connections at 10 p.m. Eastern Monday and by delay Tuesday through Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern.
Many customers have seen a young girl in
period clothing. Do it. Just say it. I can't say it. Because she knows, even though it means something totally different, immediately she's thinking she's wearing rags.
Bloody Mary.
Come on, do
Bloody
it.
Mary. Bloody Mary.
That was my own joke. What? Were you looking in the mirror when you did that?
No.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GABNET. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hello, everybody. everybody. That's my Bop 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 song. And it's time for the Ramble, which goes from now and rambles on until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. In about a half hour from right now, or about 25 minutes from right now, we'll go check in with our citizens panel. But right now we're going to check in with an old girlfriend of mine who I happened to marry at one time. Look who's there. There she is. The only ex-wife I talked to.
How many are there? I forgot.
Excuse me. I talked to Susan as well, but only on occasion. I talk to you regularly.
Yes.
And the first one, I can't even remember her name.
Oh, come on.
I don't know if she's still alive. She could be dead for all I know. So.
At our age, that's not impossible.
Oh, it's not impossible at all. So anyway, this is my ex-wife, Ronnie Bennett, who runs timegoesby.net. timegoesby.net, which is a site all about aging. And it's funny, but what I decided to do, I got to do the show on Sunday, which I've invited you to come on, which is a national program. It's on 50 stations across the country.
Radio stations or internet stations?
Radio stations. Radio.
Okay,
It's
cool.
a radio. It's Westwood One. And, I have my reservations about doing it, but that's a whole nother story. So I figure out, what am I going to talk about? And I finally decided, what am I going to do that is controversial? And this guy runs a rather soft show. It's not really about politics or anything else, but what could I do that would really shock people? And I thought I would break a huge show business broadcasting taboo. And I'm going to tell everybody how old I am.
You've done that on our little show.
Well, on our little show, I've done it, but I'm doing this on a national show. And I'm saying this is something that will ruin my career, okay? Not that I've got one now.
Depending on how long someone has been listening to you, they could guess your age, maybe.
Well, no, but most of the people probably will not be aware of my wonderful being. I'm not asking people to phone up. I'm not going to tell them how old I am till the end of the show, but I'm also not asking them to call up and tell me how old they think I am, because all they have to do is go over to Wikipedia and they'll find it out, right? But
nothing's a secret anymore.
But then I want to do this whole thing about about aging and about not being hireable and not people not taking you seriously and a whole bunch of just the whole the
yes.
What goes on. You've been reporting it now for years, and so I'm going to have you on to kind of talk more about aging and about that whole process and what the problems are. So. But I'm going to make it like I'm breaking the biggest taboo in show business, which it really is, because movie stars don't come out and say how old they are.
Well, they don't either, and it's also it covers just about every place you go, and it includes diversity laws. When someone writes laws or rules, depending on whichever it is, about diversity in whatever their organization is, they talk about skin color and ethnicity and abledness or disabledness and so on. But they never stick age in there, or hardly ever stick age in that list of what constitutes diversity to them. It's really the last prejudice that you're allowed to have.
Well,
and if you watch the late night comedians, all of them, both the early ones at 11:30 and the ones at 12:30, almost every night, every one of them will have a joke about being old that isn't nice to old people. Almost every week, every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was it?
And by the way, I really like Seth Meyers a lot. I enjoy lately Jimmy Fallon some more. Once in a while, I like Stephen Colbert. But they're the worst offenders in that area.
I'll tell you who I don't think is that way, because I get sensitive when I hear that, is Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I meant Kimmel.
You meant Kimmel.
I'm
glad you didn't mean. Oh, thank God you didn't mean Fallon. I was about ready to think less of you. Kimmel is pretty decent that way. He's pretty decent all the way around.
Except for that.
Well, even last night on the MTV Awards, which obviously is for young people, all right, the black comedian, I'm trying to remember his name now.
Oh, I saw the story about him, yes. Oh, no, I saw about one of them talking about Trump.
Yeah, and he said, everybody kneel, don't be told what to do by an old white man.
Yeah.
So he
See what I mean?
So he got racist twice in one sentence. You know.
I mean, the word "old" is the throwaway, nasty thing you can say about people and get away with, and it's always with a negative connotation. Nobody says "old" in the way they say "young."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and that affects everything. I mean, you know, you don't really want chapter and verse from me today on how it affects the quality of medical care you get and all kinds of things like that.
Well, quality of medical care. I don't know about quality, but I do know that the doctors, when you're old, say, "What pill do you want? You can have anything."
No, it's not that simple. They don't do just that, and it's not that. But you do get. There are certain reasons, let's say, for example, for certain surgery, depending on what your other problems are, not to be done. But a lot of people just dismiss certain kinds of treatment for old people just because of the number of their age.
Yeah.
You know?
But isn't it also because...
In the big surgery I had last year for my cancer, later one of the doctors told me that my age was 76 then, that they might not have done it. It's huge. They cut you open down the middle, and it's 12 hours of surgery, and it goes on, and it's, you know, months of recovery. They said, but you were in so healthy and in such good shape, we felt we could do it, and, you know, we know it turned out well. But a lot of places wouldn't even offer that.
Wow.
For age.
Yeah. Yeah. Because well, I think they're also afraid that you're not going to make it, because it is such a... Your operation, for instance, was very invasive. You know, it was about as invasive.
You might say.
Well, they cut you open and then gutted you like a carp. You know,
yes, pretty much.
You know, so they sometimes feel that, well, you know, maybe she can't. Maybe her
quality. But that's what I was just telling you. They said that. I mean, the doctors I had are really. The whole medical center is really terrific, and they weighed against, you know, what the dangers might be for age against my health.
Yeah.
And whatever, you know, and I'd never had any kind of major health problem before. So they thought that I was strong enough to do it, and here I am 14 months later, so I guess they were right.
Yeah, well, they did a good job.
But not every place will even consider it and do what they need to do to figure out if it would be safe.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be wearing a bikini to a beach anytime soon.
No,
but...
I'm not. But you know what? I really should tell the surgeon this, you know, because they cut me from here to here, you know, straight down the middle.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I have these huge amounts of, they came with the place, mirrors in the dressing room, bathroom kind of area. And I made a point. I never looked in the mirror. I didn't want to see what this looked like.
Yeah.
But a couple of months ago, I guess as I was coming up on the year anniversary, changing clothes, I looked. This guy should be a plastic surgeon. You can barely see the scar.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was like, you know, when people go get open, no big deal. People get open heart surgery. They have what they call a zipper. You know.
Yeah. Well, I in the beginning I kept telling people that, you know, if this ever gets healed, maybe I'll go out and get a zipper tattoo, but to cover it. But it's there. I mean, I'm not going to put a bikini on ever again for other reasons. But,
yeah.
But I was astonished at how terrific it looks. It's barely there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty
That's
cool.
terrific. Well, anyway, what I'm saying is that the premise that I'm using on this show is I'm going to talk about all the ways in which my life, for instance, has been affected by aging, and that at 78, I said, you probably can't tell by my voice how old I am, because my voice is still pretty young in nature. It's not really old. Unless today, because I'm a little hoarse from having swallowed the wrong way and almost coughed on something. It went down the windpipe. Anyway, enough of that. Now I'm sounding like an old person. But that that I can still do my job, because here I am doing it, right? But there's no way anybody's going to hire me. You know,
I always thought that radio
I gave up.
would be more insulated against that, because not counting an internet, you know, video that we do, you can do radio. Nobody knows how old you are.
Yeah,
they can't see you.
You know something? I honestly believe I lost my job at Sirius partially to age. And I know that. How do I know that? Because the most ageist thing that ever happened to me happened as they were getting rid of me. I had a what do you call it when they pay you money for a couple of months after they let you go?
Right.
I had a
whatever they call it.
I had something like 16 weeks of pay that I had accumulated over the years to get when. So before they would write me a check for it, I had to sign a piece of paper saying I wouldn't sue them for age discrimination.
That's right.
And I said to them, you realize this in and of itself is age discrimination because you wouldn't ask a younger person to fill this out. And they didn't have anything to say. They said, if you don't sign it,
against, age discrimination in the employment area, but over the years, and I'm not saying President Trump. I mean, previous to him too, they've been weakened and weakened and weakened. And even if they hadn't been weakened, think about it. If you believe strongly that you've got problems at work or you've been fired due to age discrimination, you could use these. You can go to the EEOC, the Equal Opportunity Employment Organization. It's a government agency, or you could sue. But the difference is that most companies have lawyers on call, full-time lawyers even, who work for them, and so they don't care what those guys. As long as those guys are working, they're putting in their time. They can handle the case. You have to pay a lawyer hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour.
Right.
So hardly any employee ever gets a chance to apply those laws. And that's another form of discrimination, though, this one from the government.
Well, I think that if I had decided to turn around and sue them, I still could have, because the fact that
if you have the money, you'll run out. They'll just string it out forever.
The fact that they were holding up my check, if I didn't sign this
thing. It's a different thing. But my point is that a lawyer that's got a job with this company, he's got whatever number of cases he's working on, he can just string it out with all kinds of legal stuff forever and ever until you've run out of money to pay your lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were having, we're kind of having that problem with this apartment house. I mean, this thing keeps getting strung out and strung out and strung out. We put out about $50,000 in lawyers' fees, However, we haven't been paying rent for 5 years, so it's pretty cheap rent we've been paying,
I hope they don't come and make you pay it all back.
Comes about no, they won't. They can't. We don't owe anybody any money. They don't have a piece of paper on us that we signed obligating ourselves to them.
Okay.
And we were willing to settle this 5 years ago. They're the ones that keep it going, So, I mean, it's just on and on and on. But anyway, you're right about that they will lawyer you out and try and prevent you from getting
I like that phrase, lawyer you out.
Yeah. No, but they'll lawyer you out until you can't afford to keep going after them. So it's not worth it to you, especially not worth it. Wouldn't be worth it to me for 16 weeks worth of severance. That was the term.
That's the word you want, yes.
For 16 weeks of severance. So, it's but I'm just going to go through this whole thing about,
By the way, let me interrupt just a second.
And then you're the cap on the hour, of talking about this from a very professorial sense.
The thing about signing the paper that you're not. What about age discrimination or whatever it was that it said? That's very similar to the recent news over the past week or two about the NDAs the White House requires.
Yeah.
You're a government employee. For heaven, come on. Nobody can tell you what you can say.
I don't think an NDA would hold up at the White House. That's the point. That's what he doesn't realize.
No one's ever tested
nobody's
it.
ever done. Nobody's ever done it before Trump. NDAs are something, admittedly, that you do in business. Okay, you want to keep your company secrets, and you don't want people to disclose the nature of the business.
Well, I question those two, but that's a long conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's a better argument because it's private companies. Whereas in this case,
if it is,
this is the people's company. You can't have people signing non-disclosure agreements, especially if somebody sees something going wrong and they want to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. Anyway, this is quite a a thing we deal with aging. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set the whole thing up, and now I'm going to tell you I'm really old. Okay, I'm really old. And you know, if I told you in advance how old I was, you probably wouldn't even listen to the show. Okay?
Well, not me.
Well, not you, but those listeners. They'll make a prejudicial decision. And I'm going to say, now, by me revealing my age to an audience like this, what I'm doing is I'm also saying to the industry, you know, that I'm that age.
Yes.
I mean, how many people lie about their age as they get older? Practically everybody, if they want to keep working.
Well, and because of what we were just discussing, especially in the workplace, do you know that age discrimination in the workplace begins as early as 40 for women, for men, but as early as 35 for women.
Really.
And, you know, think about this. Did you go to school? Maybe even go to graduate school, right? So you're not ready to go to work full time until you're nearly 25 years old, right?
Yeah.
So you finally go, you get this terrific job somewhere, you've got all this education. Now, of course, people have to uneducate you and teach you how we really work in whatever business it is, which usually happens. But now, by the time you hit 35 to 40, you really know what you're doing. By then, you're really good at what you do, whether it's lawyer, doctor, Indian chief, it doesn't matter. And that's when they decide to stop hiring you, when you really got the chops.
Well, when I was a kid, people retired at 65, and they held a big party for them because they had hit 65. Got a gold watch and everything. There were a lot of those because they held on to people. The older people in the company were the continuity. You know,
institutional memory really important. By the way, you know, I worked at Barbara Walters Specialist for 11 years. For up to 10 years afterwards, because I had been there so long.
Yeah.
For up to 10 years afterwards, I would occasionally get a call from somebody I'd never heard of, then working there or in some other capacity, but they were looking for certain things about the tape, for instance, about Barbara Walters Specials or something. They would call me and ask where I thought they could find them. And I usually could answer because they were usually in some file cabinet in the back room or something was still there. Nobody had ever looked.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's just the stupidest reason for institutional memory.
Yeah.
There are tons of reasons.
But you know, I mean, these people were the continuity at the company. And also by the time they got to that age, they knew everything about that business you could know. They were experts. Today we don't have experts because we weed them out too fast. You know, how many companies could you...
You don't even hire them anymore. You know the gig economy.
I'll tell you.
People work from home for X number of weeks for something and move on to the next one.
My wife is maybe 3 years younger than I am. Okay? Maybe, yes, she is 3 years younger than I am.
Be careful you don't slip and tell your age already.
Yeah, but she works for the Chinese. They don't care. They don't care. As long as she can do the job, that's all that matters. You know, I've seen. She's always worried that they might find out how old I am, and I said, believe me, they know you're not 65. You know, but they are Chinese, and they look upon age in a different way. They venerate it. You know, and I said, so, you know, you're very lucky you're working for the Chinese, and they also pay good money too. So, you know.
So you can work as long as you want in that situation?
I guess. You know, nobody's telling her to retire. In fact, they keep saying we hate the day that you're going to retire because, you know, you do such a great job of keeping this place going. You know, so, but I mean, it's difference in cultures too. I think in China you'll see people working to a later age. In the United States, you're lucky if you can cough your way to 50.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's hard.
You know, and I lasted in this business. I had my former producer Albert staying with me for a couple of days, and he last night said to me, because I said, well, you know, I don't know if I was that successful. He said, not successful. He said, I don't know anybody who lasted as long being on the air as you. He said, you kept going well into your 70s.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. And most people are out of it way before that.
I suppose a big part of it, what you mentioned early on, is what happens to your voice.
Yeah.
Is it becomes more difficult both to speak clearly and loudly enough, and
right.
And difficult to listen to because it's got I don't know, some old people get a fuzzy quality, and you have to listen extra hard to make sure.
Some days when when it's like there's a lot of pollen out. I can get that way. You got the forest fires there. Yeah, and you got them.
California gets a lot of talk, but there are some here, and also I saw maps online where it's being blown, either south from Washington State or north from California, depending on which way the wind is going. And there was an astonishing U.S. map that showed some from, I guess, around the Rockies, a huge thing of smoke being pushed by the wind toward you on the East Coast.
Yeah. Wow.
So you don't have to be right. There's an unbelievable video this morning online of a father and son driving through a forest fire.
Yes, I saw that.
Isn't that amazing?
I saw that, and then they finally got down to a boat and were taken away.
Yeah. It's astonishing.
Yeah. So, anyway,
and what was really astonishing about it was there was a little bit of bickering between the father and son, but in general, there's flames all around them on this picture, and they're incredibly calm about it.
Well, you know what's really terrible? Are old fires.
Are what?
Old fires.
I don't know.
It's a joke. We were talking about age and being discriminatory, and I said there's nothing worse than an old fire. Okay. I was just trying to lighten the tone up from you and your being singed by fire talk. It's funny. I know now you with the fires there. I know a woman who calls my show from Hawaii. She's on the island of Hawaii.
Oh, they've got all of that.
The volcano. Although the volcano's kind of quiet right now, she said. It's finally died.
But it went for months, weeks, or anyway, and maybe months.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Yeah. Isn't nature wonderful? It really is. I mean, I looked at that volcano and I just went, ooh. I don't want to be there, but ooh.
I have to tell you that I think the Northeast, like from about New York forward, upward, is probably the safest place in terms of natural things that can do awful stuff to you. Yeah. Because here, of course, in Oregon and Washington and Northern California, they're always predicting that next week is the big earthquake. And there's a lot of flooding depending on the time of year and what's gone on. You have hurricanes in the southern part of the United States and up the East Coast. You have incredible snow and flooding in the Midwest depending on the season, and so on. But there's not much. Most hurricanes kind of spin out of. They're done by the time they get as far north as New York. So the most that you guys have is snow in the winter. You don't really have bad weather other than that.
New Jersey went apoplectic a couple of years ago when we had that hurricane here that hit here. So we did have Sandy. But when you compare it to the way it hit New Orleans, nothing was going on in New Jersey, for as bad as it was. So yes, you're right. This area up here, you seem somewhat protected.
Yeah. And of course, in a big city, of course, no forest fires probably. I live in an area where there are a bunch of two-story buildings, and we have lots of trees around. And lately, I've begun to think, oh my goodness, when it gets really dry, do I want that many trees around me?
But everywhere you live, there is some kind of. We could get an earthquake here. There's a fault going right through Central Park.
I have to tell you, years and years ago, I had waked up. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I had waked up and I was lying there thinking about getting out of bed, and I felt this rumble, no audio, but I felt a rumble under my bed I'd never ever felt before. I was living on Bedford Street, and the subway is a block away, but I'd been there for years and I had never heard the subway.
Right.
So I didn't know what it was. Later, I get out of bed and I turn on the news, and there had been an earthquake. It seems that there's a fault that runs, I think, if I recall correctly, somewhere along Canal Street.
Well, I heard there's a fault.
Very, very minor, very low number. I don't remember the number, but I had no idea they occasionally have earthquakes in New York.
They had to have a fault that goes through Central Park. Yeah. You know, I mean, you don't feel it, and it doesn't really go off much, you know. But when you say you weren't used to that rumbling, you lived in San Francisco. You know what an earthquake feels like.
No, I meant I wasn't used to it where I lived then.
Yeah.
At that moment, even though the subway was a block away, I never heard it.
In San Francisco, the only thing...
I never ever felt that, either before or since. It was the only time it happened.
In Northern California, the only thing that hurricanes are good for... earthquakes are good for is conversation. Because the next day, everybody goes, did you feel that last night? You know, did it wake you up?
You know, one of the things old people complain about with each other is that we don't sleep well.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in high school, which is the mid-50s, had just moved to California, was living in Marin County. I woke up one morning, and I think I was a junior in high school. I woke up one morning, and my bed was about a foot or a foot and a half from the wall. And so, you know, I'm getting up, getting ready for school, the news is on, and there'd been a gigantic earthquake in the middle of the night, so much so that it moved my bed from the wall, and I slept straight through it. Teenagers can sleep through anything.
Yeah. Now, I used to sleep through earthquakes in San Francisco. Anyway, hey, look, I just looked at the clock. We've run out of time. See?
There we go. We just kind of mumble on here, and it runs.
Just two old farts chatting. Okay?
Yes.
So, I'll see you on that show on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see.
Is the entire show about aging, or just a piece of...
just the first hour.
Okay.
I'm going to deal with
how many hours?
3 hours.
Oh.
But
well, what are you making a face for?
I don't know. It's not.
So why did you agree to do it?
Because this guy's been good to me, so you know, and he thinks I'm so much of me that he thinks that I'm a real get. You know, to replace him while he's not there.
Well, you probably are.
So,
I would suggest you are.
You know, I think it may even be there's some station, Bend, Oregon, nearby you.
It's off in the middle of Oregon, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the station in Oregon that has this show.
It's about a 3-hour drive from here.
Okay, so while the show's on, do it from your car, and you can listen to it. Anyway, whatever. Hey, listen, see you Sunday, but in the meantime, let's see you in another couple of weeks here, okay?
Talk to you on Sunday.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Bennett can be found at timegoesby.net. Thank you, Ronnie.
Right.
Bye.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is Gabby, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Yeah, and that's Ronnie, and it takes about a half hour. Yeah, and it allows me to not have to sit here and work hard. We have a guest tonight. Big production, ladies and gentlemen. Roll over. Just roll into the shot.
Roll over?
Yeah, roll over. Huh?
Didn't Will Durst get his own camera?
No,
he was a guest.
Yeah, but he's out.
Ronnie had her own camera. She was a guest.
He's out in California.
She even got her name on the screen. What the hell kind of guest am I?
Well,
that's no good.
I could put her name on the screen for you. So.
First of all, I thought I was on Michael Snyder's Culture Blast.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be the Alex Bennett Ramble.
Mm-hmm.
What? I was misled. I was completely misled.
What do you mean you were completely misled? About what?
I thought this was the Culture Blast, and we were going to talk about hip and cool things.
Hip and cool things?
Yeah, with Michael Snyder. I didn't know I would have to do
It's just movies. You know, it's just movies. That's all it is. You know, so anyway. I've got the lines open in case anybody wants to call. So you went out to dinner tonight? This is your last night in New York, right?
Yeah, for the time being, yeah.
For the time being. And then they're going to come up once a month and stay here for 2 weeks, right?
So your wife thinks. She could not have been nicer, and you could not have been nicer, and she is almost to the point of paying for tickets for us to come up every month because we've had a nice time. But we really didn't get to spend a lot of time with her because she's always working.
Yeah,
because she's got to support the family, right? So
yeah.
That's
well, you know what I liked about you guys here is that usually when people
you guys being me and my wife,
you and your wife,
okay.
and your
and my daughter was here. My daughter practically slept here every night, and her boyfriend, and my friend as well.
We were going to go take a hotel room somewhere.
Yeah,
anyway,
right. You were going to have to get out.
Anyway, no, but is that when people stay here, they go into that, they use that room, but they go into that room and they stay there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like being in a cell, for crying out loud.
No, that's not us.
You know, that you go into the living room, you watch the television out there,
yeah.
you make yourself comfortable, and that's the way it should be.
And we go in the living room thinking other people are going to be in there.
Yeah.
But you guys are in front of the TMZ all day long.
What do you mean in front of the TMZ?
You guys are on the bed watching your TMZ.
Today we didn't watch
TMZ
because we had Better Call Saul to watch.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we watched that, and then we watched, here comes Phil Meyer. Yeah.
Thank goodness Phil Meyer's here.
Thank goodness.
Phil, all I hear all day long is how we got Trump, the dirty bastard. Now we can hear from you and get the real viewpoint on what's going on.
You seem to feel that way. We got Trump.
No, Phil knows the real story.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
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 As long as Giuliani's in charge, there's no way they're going to make it stick on the guy. No way.
That's right. Hey, I've been reading this story about you, Alex, and I didn't know you banged that Argento lady, that actress.
Oh yeah, I banged him all.
Says says in the news you Bennett banged her.
Oh, that's not the same Bennett.
That's the
close enough.
The ex-girlfriend of the
Anthony
chef.
Bourdain.
Yeah, Bourdain.
Yeah. Turns out that she was like the big, almost the initiator of the Me Too movement.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because she implicated Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. And then it turns out that she was accused of rape by this young boy when he was 17.
Yeah. Okay.
So Bourdain,
we've been through this before.
The Bourdain paid out $330,000 to shut the kid up.
Yeah, he thought that
was. But that was okay because he wasn't running for office.
Aren't you the one that said if you were a young guy and the hot teacher came on to you? Yeah.
I'd be the only thing dangerous for a young kid whose good-looking high school teacher fucks him is the rash he's going to get from high-fiving all his friends.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's called statutory sexual education.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Statutory.
Sex ed. It's on the menu.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So
How you feeling, Phil? I heard you weren't well for a while. I mean, physically not well.
Yeah, I had a number of maladies that have been addressed, and I'm going to be around for a long time, hopefully, to harass Alex.
Well, you look good. You look very
good. He's lacking a prostate now.
Okay.
And peeing his pants all the time.
That's okay.
And then he had some balloons put in his heart. So.
Oh.
Yeah, and they left behind these little McDonald's straws. They cut them up, and they stick them in there. They call them stents.
Uh-huh. This will drive him crazy. Your camera's constantly focusing itself.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, let me take a look at it.
Yeah.
Is that a euphemism, or am I missing?
No,
something?
his camera was literally pulsing, blurry, unblurry.
Okay.
Oh well, let's see. It's on autofocus.
Oh well, you don't want autofocus.
Okay, well, I took that off. I hit save.
Yeah, then you're okay.
Close that little thing.
Yeah, now you'd be okay.
Open this up a little more. How's that?
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't say the same about yours, but.
What do you mean? This is a very expensive camera I've got here.
Well, you got a light that flashes on, flashes off.
What light that flashes on and off?
Well, it's not your white balance. It's okay now.
It wasn't bad before. What? I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, it was terrible.
No, it wasn't. No, see now you're shining on me now.
Well, hey, fair is fair.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I used to listen to Albert's show, and I understand how he used to shine on you. What I loved about Albert's show was that towards the end he would cover just touch every topic known to Western man. For one reason or another, that meant that you couldn't use it. Had you ever noticed that?
This? No, I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, you would touch on news topics towards the end of your show.
Yeah.
And, it sort of indicated that it was off limits for Alex to talk about those topics.
Not at all. I don't know why
it's just an assumption on my part.
No, I don't think so.
It was. I think it had a lot to do with his the fact that, for me at least, he used to do a prep sheet every day.
Yes.
And in the process of that, learned how to put together a lot of prep. And he probably did it for your own show, right?
Yeah, I would write down the things that I saw during the day that I thought might have been of interest to people and bring them up in case anybody wanted to talk about it. That's about it.
We're going to be.
See, I always assumed it was because Alex wouldn't talk. He wouldn't play a record or couldn't play a record that someone else played before him, and he wouldn't play records that he felt were more timely and didn't want to mess it up for the regular jocks. So I just thought that maybe his when he talked about different subjects, if you had touched it, he couldn't talk about it.
No, I never heard that or thought that before. But if I did, then I'd have absolutely broadened the scope of what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, he would ruin it.
To the point where there was nothing else to talk about.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing for him to talk about. But that was already covered on Albert's show.
Yeah,
Alex, you don't have to go there.
No, but he only had like an hour show, and I had 2 hours, and so I could. No, there's no reason why I can't talk about the same subjects.
Well, you do now.
I mean, no, but I mean, do I tell Jack Bishop that he can't talk about the day's news or what's happening with Trump?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But Jack doesn't talk about those things.
By the way, the best thing today was Trump saying, "Well, I never knew about this situation and the payment of the money until long after it happened." When he has already stated publicly that we have the tapes where he's talking to him about
I
this
heard
whole
the
thing.
tapes. Ray Renati sent it to me.
Yeah.
And, what I had said the other night about...
by the way, you were
Ask
wrong.
My Attorney.
You were wrong. You're wrong about that because he was saying
No.
Yeah.
But, the no could have meant, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Talk to my attorney.
No, but that isn't what he said, and you were wrong in quoting him.
Well, it could, if you could spin it that way.
You could spin it, but that's not what it is.
That's not spinning. Spin on this. No, but the tapes that came out of Trump talking to him about, I think it was about the Karen, what's her name? Situation.
He said, pay her cash.
But he said today he didn't hear about either of these things till well after they were taken care of.
Well, maybe he wasn't listening. That's why he didn't hear.
No. All I'm saying is you see, here's the thing, Phil. Here's why he's a lying sack of shit. And let me explain this to you.
Yeah.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what the truth is. You know what the truth is, and you're consistent with the truth. But when you're lying... Wait a minute, let me finish. When you're lying all the time, you have to remember what the last lie was you told to make everything consistent with the lies, and you're going to fuck up occasionally.
Yeah.
Well, he fucks up all the time.
Yeah, but, he should have said, I just banged 2 of the hottest women... I didn't want anybody to know about it.
I see. Yeah, Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think his strategy is to lie consistently with different answers. And therefore, he never has to remember anything because he can create something different tomorrow. And if people ever take him seriously, they're not serious.
But there are people who do. You're looking at one of them right now. You're looking at Phil Meyer.
This speculation is getting us nowhere. Let's just sit back and wait to hear what the wisdom of Rudy Giuliani is tomorrow morning. He'll clear it all up and tell us the truth is not the truth, and he'll tell us what we're supposed to believe.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I agree with you. Why are we sitting here bantering about this?
Stupid.
When in fact we could wait for
He'll tell us what the
Rudy
truth
Giuliani's
is.
Trump was just doing what Giuliani wanted: stop and frisk. And what are you gonna do?
Stop and frisk.
Yeah.
Stop and frisk.
I also like the way your boy, they had this murder out in Where was it? Iowa? Iowa, yeah.
I was beginning to suspect Scott Boddicker. He's been going to Iowa quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, and at least this potential illegal alien that his boss says, no, I didn't hire an illegal.
No, but here's the point. You've got Trump saying publicly he was an illegal alien and all but convicting the guy in the press. Do you know that a good attorney could maybe get that case thrown out just on that alone?
Oh, is that speculative?
No, that's not being speculative. You don't comment on these sort of things for fear that, especially being president, that what you had to say could be considered prejudicial, and he can't be tried by any jury in the United States. Am I right?
Yeah. Not necessarily.
Is that a right assumption?
No.
The argument could be made.
Yeah.
He's got to, they have to have an unbiased jury. And what you're saying is that every juror that they pick could possibly be tainted by Trump's statement. But the chances of that happening are pretty slim because, the jury pool is people that want $5 a day.
Well, they say, they'd have to ask, did you hear what
that's not fair because I proudly serve on a jury every time I'm asked to. So I don't think that's fair to paint the jury like this all the time.
Alex,
yes.
How many times have you served on a jury?
Never.
All right. And why?
Why? Well, early on, they wouldn't take me even if I was summoned because I was on the air, because I had a radio program and I was just, they didn't want that on a jury. When they started getting a little less fussy about that, I went down and I sat there and I went through the whole process and they did jury selection and I found that it was a case that I didn't want to be part of because I didn't want to sit in judgment on a drug dealer.
All right.
And I told the judge that I considered drugs a medical problem and not a criminal act, and he said
you're qualified. Get up on the stand.
He said next. On that same panel, another guy got out of it by saying that he had a movie to make in Cuba, and so they let Steven Soderbergh off. Okay, and as we're walking out, he looks at me and he says, "That was a really cheap excuse to try and get out of jury duty." And I'm looking at him going, "Yeah, Cuba? Come on."
Yeah. Well, I understand what Albert's saying, that you don't want to disparage juries, but this is an Iowa jury, and that means it's mostly Republican. And since they are Republicans, you don't think that they're listening to what Trump says anyway, otherwise they wouldn't have voted for him.
Well, you see, he didn't get up and say, and it turned out it was one of those allegedly illegal alien. But he didn't also say, and by the way, that guy who killed his wife and 2 kids, he was a white Christian. Those damn Christians. He didn't say that.
That was a Scott Peterson move. And
is that how we excuse it? Is a Scott Peterson
No, but
move?
he was
Nobody
here
gives
legally.
Peterson enough credit, I always say.
Yeah. Hey,
Thank you, Phil.
Sometimes, wouldn't you want to kill your wife?
Sometimes they just don't shut up. Right, Phil? Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Now that case is, that one's sad. Just really
I
sad.
think he's got a good deal for mental capacity, that he'll never see a jail.
It depends on, in that state, how much they allow that kind of defense to be used. Some states don't take a liking to mental incompetency or whatever. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to go into a court of law and you're going to say, well, Your Honor, this guy was temporary insanity, or he was crazy, or whatever. Well, come on. If one human being kills another human being, he's got to be crazy. Am
Not
I right?
necessarily.
Well, no,
could be a Republican.
You're talking to Phil now, right?
Yeah. Are you going to say that killing somebody is a totally rational act?
At times.
No, what do you mean at times?
You see? I told you, you're talking to Phil.
Well, I believe in lex talionis, which is an eye for an eye, but cops are exempt from lex talionis, And sometimes you have to kill somebody in the.
But you're changing the whole subject. I am
well,
not
you
talking.
asked me
I'm
a
not
simple
talking
question.
about you as a cop or as a.
Well, you asked me. You
well,
said,
you were.
hey,
you
is it okay to rationally kill someone?
You were really a rent-a-cop.
And I said yes.
You're really a rent-a-cop. But the fact is that we weren't talking about that. We were talking about a person who just in cold blood kills another human being. Are you going to call that
about someone else?
Are you
not
going
me.
Are you going to call that person sane?
Maybe, but he could have done it
Phil,
because.
Why don't you just once say, Alex, you've got a good point?
Well, you asked originally if I could kill someone and feel that it's a legitimate thing, and I'm telling you that yes, I could, but maybe this guy can't.
Well, I could kill you and nobody would hold it against me.
No, all you got to do is push the button that says "hang up."
So, hello there, Patrick. Look who's here.
Hello, Patrick. How are you?
I am so excited to see you. I have a boner the size of a big cucumber.
Whoa.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I can't say the same, but I'm very excited to see you as well.
Yeah.
We missed you on what was it, Monday or when was I here?
Well, you were here last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
He had his Fudge Packers to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, right, and I'll be doing the same thing Friday.
Yeah, is it the Fudge Packers again?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Preseason doesn't count, but it's still football, and well, if it's football, I gotta watch it.
That's right. Yes. Good for you.
Yeah. Do you watch football?
Not a bit.
Not a bit. Not me either.
I follow the standings, but I don't care about the games anymore.
Really? Unless
do you ever go to the game?
I have, yeah. I don't anymore.
I have never been to a football game in my life.
Not a surprise at all.
But I've been to quite a few baseball games.
Yeah, but you don't know how football is played, so why should you go?
I have no idea how it's played.
So
and
that's the
people
problem.
have tried to explain it to me. I've had famous football players try to explain it to me because they can't believe I don't know how it's played.
It's a very complex game.
Well, no,
I'm not surprised.
But they start out, whenever anybody tries to explain it to me, they immediately lose me with first down. Well, what's a down? I mean, I don't. They use this terminology.
Do you know what a set is in tennis?
Yes.
And why? What would you? How would you explain a set?
Wait a minute, I don't know what a set is.
Well, see, that's what you have to figure out. There are different kind of separations in sports, and the down is for.
You've heard about Miami, haven't you?
Yeah, I've heard about your range.
For sports.
How could you not if you know you?
Ray Ratto was a sports writer in San Francisco. When he heard that I had won an Emmy for sports, wanted me to give it back.
Hey, they feed you before the Golden State Warrior games. So because I had photographed a number of the Warrior practices just before the games, I got to go into the area where all the personnel was, and Ray Ratto was always there and always eating.
Oh, yeah. And he looked like he was always eating.
Oh, he never missed.
Do you know that we did a show from my bedroom? We did one of my shows from my bedroom, and I called it my bed show. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I was going to stay in bed. Okay, and he sat on the edge of the bed and broke it. It just collapsed.
Yeah. But that was I like shooting those games. You're behind, you're down on the court during the game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we've been joined by Brian Ludwig, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Brian?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. You don't know Brian.
No, I don't think I do know Brian. No. Hello, Brian.
But he will warm the cockles of your heart. He's a warm and fuzzy person, right, Brian?
Yeah, so long as I don't get agitated.
Like, for instance, you know Phil's feelings about Donald Trump.
I do, yeah.
Brian's are even more warm and fuzzy. Give him an idea of how you feel about Donald Trump, Brian.
I mean, aside from the fact that I've been on record on this program twice as saying that I'd love to see him sustain a massive stroke while televised on C-SPAN or NBC. live.
And don't forget the sexual part.
And would you like to see him shit his pants while it's happening?
Well, the whole 9 yards.
That would be frosting on the cake, wouldn't it?
You'd have to hear
frosting
it, though,
on the
because
pants.
Can we see Melania shit her pants while that happens?
Well,
I'd rather see that.
Is that your kind of thing?
Me and Danny Kaye, we had the same.
Was Danny Kaye into that?
Did you know? No, Danny Thomas.
Danny Thomas.
Danny Thomas, right? He had
the table,
coffee table thing.
Yeah. I had a friend, Karen Babbitt. She was a comic, and she got hired as a writer for Danny Thomas's last TV show where he played like a doctor. Do you remember that one?
I think so. Yeah.
And they said Mr. Thomas would like to see you. And she said, okay. He said, he's not in his office right now, but just go in and sit down. And she went and sat down, and right in front of her was a glass coffee table.
Oh, boy.
And she went, I don't know if this is true or not.
Yeah.
You know,
make room for Daddy.
Make doo-doo for Daddy.
Right? That was one of his shows.
Yeah.
That was before tow cameras.
That was before tow cameras?
Before what?
What's a tow camera?
What's a tow camera?
You know, those cameras that the people are putting on their toes now to walk up to girls and look up their dresses.
Oh, the upskirt camera.
Upskirt, yeah, okay. There's a special name for them. I didn't know, Albert.
Kevin.
Did you?
No, that's
aren't those selfie sticks or something?
Well,
Kevin,
you can't
would this
hold
be
a
mirrored
selfie
shoes
stick
2.0 then?
What's that?
Would this be mirrored shoes 2.0 then?
Yes.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Or 5.0.
Well,
with HD.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only heard it was called upskirt videos. I don't know any more.
No, you don't know anything.
No, you knew all about it, Albert. Tell us.
I just heard about it.
Yeah.
Is that a category on RedTube?
Well, they are against the law, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They're literally against the law.
By the way, it's a category on every tube now. It's not very difficult to
we
follow.
are. But Kevin, I'm willing to bet something. I'm willing to bet that the high definition and the detail is so minute and precise that if the bitch has crabs, you'll actually see them crawling on her cunt hairs.
You know what? I knew you were going to say that.
You know, he always goes there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I just encouraged it. You know,
I'm just glad he's not a Trump supporter.
Why are there more women on the show?
My more naive years, I used to be a supporter of George W. Bush and the war in Iraq, but then I woke up.
Were you really?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Early 2000.
Why did you think the war in Iraq was a good idea? What was your thinking then, though?
What was my thinking?
Yeah.
The naive thinking of an early 20, late teen something asshole. There was self-interest involved, but that the greater good was being accomplished here. The spreading of the spreading of something more democratic, which
Well, I agreed with Bush's fight of terrorism support, and Saddam Hussein was paying suicide bombers to go into Israel and kill innocent people. Matter of fact, I think it was $25,000 to their family.
Do you know that that's wait a minute. Hold on a second, Phil. Do you know that is fact?
Well, it's been reported for a long time.
Reported by who, and can you prove it?
Well, I tell you what. For you, I will go to Snopes, and I will see if it's fact.
Well, you don't know if Snopes
that's the kind of guy I am.
Oh, really?
Well, I read the Israeli papers and things like that, and that's...
that's a great place to get...
well, hey, they're the most affected by the suicide bombers.
You don't think
let me check it out
you don't think that Netanyahu is lying? There's a lying fuck?
No, I like Netanyahu.
I know you probably do.
I
want to take away his Jew card. I wish there were excommunication in the Jewish religion, because there were certain people I think we should get out of there.
I'm not even going to get in this conversation.
Yeah, well, because you're not Jewish. So.
Well, even if he wasn't Jewish, he could get into it.
Yeah.
Let's see what this Snopes is. So what do we want to know? Oh, were suicide bombers deployed or paid by Saddam Hussein?
Saddam
right?
Hussein, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's good.
It's going to take me. And over you can get a copy of a blank check while you're at it. Too.
Yeah, and over its over at Snopes, they're now looking, and somebody says, Phil's online again. Here he comes with another one of his asshole things.
He wants to know.
Yeah. Well, what did you find? Anything?
I found that the spell changer takes Sodom and changes it to Daddy. That's so I'm typing it in, and
how did you spell Sodom?
Well, I was close enough. SADDUM, or is it EM?
No,
AM.
Two A's, I think. SADAAM.
Yes.
I thought it was 2 D's and an A and an
Hussein,
M.
Hussein, but you can just put in the word Obama, okay?
Now, Hussein's being changed to business. It's going to take.
What are you using?
What kind of thing is
leave
it?
that out.
I'm using my iPhone.
Oh well, it's probably using Siri or something to come up with that shit. Yeah, it's terrible. That's terrible. Because I could put in Sodom here, and So anyway, well, at least we're keeping Phil involved in something, so he can't talk.
Give me the shiny object.
He's busy now. Let's talk about him.
Yeah.
Patrick, in the meantime, give me the straightforward on your take on, because I haven't spoken to you in maybe a year, maybe longer than that. But what's your take on the news of the last couple of days, as a very logical conservative? What's going to happen in this administration?
But he doesn't like Trump.
I don't care whether he likes him or not. I just want to know, as a logical person who happens to be a conservative, what you think is going to shake down here.
Well, let's find out how logical he is exactly. Go ahead.
I like his logic.
Here's the thing. The Manafort thing, I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Okay.
Regarding Trump, it sounds like all personal bullshit. And then the only thing that I see as a possible political issue is Cohen with the payoff on Stormy Daniels. And everything else.
Also the Karen, what's her name, McDougal
and
thing.
And the Playboy bunny. Because the initial thing was set out Russian collusion.
Right.
And this sounds to me a lot like what Ken Starr started out with.
Of course.
And then ended up with Monica Lewinsky. This sounds like we started with a wide net. There's nothing to find on Russian collusion. So the only thing we can find is some shit wrong with Manafort and his personal stuff.
Well, but consider that Mueller has not come out with anything now. So these are just ancillary things that are happening now. But, and it's hard to predict whether Mueller has anything or whether he has nothing. But considering the things that we've seen just now, just the indictments that have come out and the people who have already pled guilty, what do you think? This is going to put a stink on Trump? Is this going to hurt him, his presidency? Will he leave? Will he not? Will Congress say fuck you, you're out, you're a dickhead, or you're untouched by this?
The only way that he's going to have any issues is if the Democrats take the Senate, and then they, or the House, whichever one can impeach him.
I think they have to both impeach him for him to be indicted.
Yeah, that's only going to get Congress. But just the articles of impeachment, only on the Cohen thing with paying off Stormy Daniels and the Playboy Bunny, because it would come out of the campaign fund. I think that's the only political issue he has.
Well, there is one more possibly. Is that because because Cohen wants to cooperate as much as possible, he may actually have some information on those meetings at Trump Tower. And so might Manafort. And one of the reasons they went after Manafort, obviously they went after him on stuff he actually did. He did do this illegal shit. But they went after him because they want him, if he wants to make a deal, tell us something we need to know.
I don't think he's a rat, but
Wait a minute, what are you using mob talk for? Like Trump uses mob talk
because I
like
grew
that.
up in New York, and you don't rat.
Who's not a rat? Who are you talking about?
You don't rat.
Manafort.
Somebody kills somebody, and you know they did. You don't turn them in. You don't rat. You don't say, "I saw him do it. I was with him when he did it." And he's guilty.
In the capacity of a cop, yes. In the capacity of me, no. I don't rat.
Yeah, because I love the way Trump uses all this thug talk.
Yeah. Well, Saddam Hussein rewards suicide bombers' families, and this is ABC News, January 2nd.
Yeah.
Each is handed a check, a gift from Saddam Hussein. Families of suicide bombers get $25,000.
Well, that's not like he was paying people to be suicide bombers. You said he was paying.
Gift.
No, you said he was paying people to be suicide bombers.
I said he was paying their family. And that's exactly what this says.
No, you didn't say that.
No, you didn't.
You didn't say that.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. He gave $25,000
Mr. Trump,
to the
you can't walk this back.
Bombers.
You can't walk this back, Mr. Trump.
I can walk it back because I'll listen to it later. But the deal is, I said he was paying $25,000 to the families of suicide bombers, and that's exactly what this ABC News article says.
Because they didn't have an income earner anymore. It's a very nice thing of him to do. Yes, Patrick.
Oh yeah,
Patrick.
I just wanted to follow up with Albert. You're right. We don't necessarily know everything that Mueller may have.
We don't know anything Mueller may have.
Mueller's been very, very quiet.
But the thing is, what we have to consider is, especially with Cohen, I don't think he has anything. Because I don't think Trump would have come out with the tweet that he did overnight saying that if you want a good lawyer, I wouldn't go after him. And I think that all of my Democrat and liberal friends on Facebook who were jerking each other off yesterday all afternoon and all night talking about it's Christmas and this is it and floodgates have opened on the swamp, I think they might be ejaculating just a bit prematurely. And
well, excuse me, Patrick. I already soiled myself, and now you're telling me I shouldn't have?
Except the ones, Patrick, except the ones that lost their prostate.
Well, that's true. Yeah. The thing is, I think all of us, including Phil, we all need to just wait because we don't know what's out there. And all of the people on the left that are jerking each other off and excited, you know what they may be getting? Just a hand job, and that's it. And just the same on my side, the right may end up with nothing as well because we may lose the House, we may lose the Senate, and then we're going to have jack shit.
Hey, don't belittle a nice hand job, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't put that down. A good hand job is pretty good.
Yeah, a good hand job is good, but you know what? I think everybody on the left is looking for a full-on fuck that they're not going to get.
They're not going to get.
They're delusional.
No.
Well, I've been
is a good thing. A hand job is a good thing unless the hands are cold.
Well, it's good. It's good whether my hands are cold or warm. It doesn't matter.
But anyway, the point I'm making is that you're right, Patrick, on several levels. Not time to go jumping up and down. Yes, Jeff.
I want to agree with Pat that I think if we think about Clinton and the way it ended up with him, I mean, they were trying to kill this guy, and all they find out is that he had sex with some woman without even having great sex, only shitty sex. With kind of a little chubby.
Well, in the case in the case of Karen McDougal, that went on for about 9 months. That was a full-on affair.
She says it went on for 9 months. But
all
she can talk
Good
about
point,
is
Phil. Good point.
Good point.
You've got to remember, truth
point.
isn't truth, right?
Yeah,
truth
isn't
not,
truth.
Truth is not truth.
Yeah.
But if it's truth, then it's truth, but it's not truth sometimes.
That's right. Yeah.
What
Sometimes.
are you doing, Rudy? What are you doing,
That's
Rudy?
right, yeah.
You got something in your teeth, Albert?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I thought that okay, this girl spun a pretty good tale, and she was having second thoughts about.
Yeah,
her
she spun her
Christianity.
tail. She definitely spun her tail.
Yeah, and she knew more about the driver that took her to the place where she would have a liaison or two with Trump. And maybe she was infatuated with this guy for 9 months. But I don't, hey, look, if she was giving it up to me, I would keep her a lot longer than 9 months. But, she may not be all there. And she's having her religious
You know what you're
epiphany.
being? You're being a sexist fucking pig. Because you're thinking,
yes,
wait a
I am
minute.
a sexist
No,
pig.
you're automatically
Republican.
taking what is essentially the victim, and you're turning it around and making her the aggressor.
Yeah.
Well, she's the one that has come out and seems to need to make her story known for her own well-being, and so she has now become the accuser in this, and not the victim.
I saw the interview with her. I thought she was fully creditable, and I thought she was a decent person. Okay.
I thought that you couldn't take your eyes off her rack.
In the Me Too era, how dare you?
No, it was easy for me to take my eyes off her rack because she proclaimed that she was a born-again Christian, and so I ain't touching that stuff. Yes, Patrick.
She also said that Trump was ugly as sin naked, too, so...
No, she didn't. Did she? I didn't.
Well, she said he was kind of disgusting.
Draw that conclusion.
Yeah.
She said she was in love with the guy.
Yeah.
I think that she is, in La La Land.
I see. Okay. Then how come they wanted to get? They had the National Enquirer pay her $150,000, of which they only paid her $75,000 to shut her up.
It just occurs to me that if this guy Trump wants to really make billions and billions, he should bottle this formula that get women in love with him. What was it? 3 wives, and then this woman says she was in love with him. What is that? What's the secret there? Because I don't see anything redeeming there. And forget about his politics.
You know what it is? It was the Trump fragrance.
Whatever it was.
No, it was $3.5 to $4.5 billion. That's what it was.
Well, even with that woman and Melania, after the first couple, you didn't realize. Wait a minute, maybe there's something not really great about this guy. But they still fall in love with him. What's that secret potion? Well, that's what'll make you a billionaire.
He's perfect example of the saying that a guy who even has a gorgeous wife will still fuck around.
It's Trump Love Potion number 9. They're bottling that instead of the steaks. Yeah,
boy. At least Harvey Weinstein, we understand he had to impose himself upon women because no matter how much money he had, he was still a disgusting human being. But I don't understand it with Trump. I mean, the only thing negative that I felt with Karen McDougal when I saw her being interviewed was, yeah, but you fell in love with this fucking pig,
Hey, $3.5 to $4.5 billion.
Well,
maybe she likes being grabbed by the pussy.
Maybe. I've yet to see it. I put the challenge out to Trump when I was at Sirius. Come in here and put $1 million on the table just to prove, or there are $1 billion on the table, just to prove to me that you've got $1 billion. Okay?
You want it in 20s?
20s, I don't care. Just pile it up here. And we'll believe you when you said you counted. Didn't I do that?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I just asked about a couple of million.
Yeah, I think so.
I said, prove to us you've got money. I said, you don't have money.
Forbes had an article 2 years ago stating all his properties and what was owed on them, and I believe he's a private corporation, and Mar-a-Lago, I think, is owned outright, and that's so
by
when
him?
they totaled all of those things up, it was like $3 or $4 billion.
Well, that was a few
I even
years,
sent you that article.
That was a few years ago. You can lose that $3 or $4 billion in just a matter of months if you're not playing your money right. And I think that Trump was on the edge of bankruptcy, and that's why he ran for president. because you get a nice pile of cash from running for president, because all the contributions that are made to you after the election is over, you can keep for yourself. That's how that's why Al Sharpton ran for president one year, was to make the money. I'm serious about this.
I believe that those election laws have changed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that
you're
you
wrong,
can't
'cause
spend
you're
the
never
money
right.
on yourself, that you can use it to donate to other campaigns. So you could support other campaigns.
All I
with
know
that
is
money.
Al Sharpton kept the money. Okay.
Well, maybe that was prior to the election law change. But now they can't spend it on themselves. They have to,
Go find me that election law. That'll keep me busy again.
Smoke me, baby,
While
smoke
we
me.
talk
Is
about
it is it shiny?
While we talk about adult stuff.
Yeah. Unlike election laws.
No, I agree with Patrick. You know, I've said from the very beginning, those people. I used to tell Jack Bishop's pal Amy that if you're thinking you're going to impeach him, you're nuts. You know, I said you don't just flick your hand and impeach somebody. Now you can chase him out of office, which is what we did with Nixon. Okay. Mm-hmm. But to impeach him, hell, look how long it took. It took 3 years of investigations by the commission that he had to go get Clinton. And then when push came to shove and he was impeached, he was never convicted. So that whole
talking
thing,
about the House,
$60 million later, we still have the same president. Okay.
Now, is the idea that the Senate is going to go to a Democratic majority as well as the House, or just the House?
Well, the Senate could easily become it's only a matter of one senator, I think, either way, already from what they have now.
Yeah, but if the Senate doesn't turn and only the House turns, and I'm not what elections are up for grabs right now, and whether there's a possibility of losing the Senate.
I don't
but
think
isn't
so.
The
what?
I don't think there's
talking to the mic. Yeah.
I don't think there's a possibility of losing the Senate at this point. That's a very narrow margin.
Right. So where is the impeachment process? Where does that take place?
The impeachment takes place in the Senate, I believe. No,
okay,
excuse me. No, in the Congress. And then, the Senate. Then the Senate holds the trial to find out if he's guilty or not.
All right.
Impeachment is only an indictment. An indictment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then it goes to the Senate for the trial. And you remember when it went for the trial, and you had the head of the Supreme Court there with his robes, because he's the judge in that particular case. And and look, you had Clinton. It never wound up in him being shoved out of office.
Right.
So what the hell?
And that may be what takes place if the Democrats take over the House.
Well, they say another option is that there will be a sealed indictment created by the Mueller investigation, and that they'll let him play out his 4 years in office, and as soon as he steps out of office, they're going to get him. So,
yeah,
which is more likely, I think, than an impeachment and an indictment and throwing him out during the presidency. That's very unlikely.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, that's a good point, Albert. With once he's out of office, that is more likely.
Yeah.
But then again, it depends on what they have.
Right.
I mean, I don't believe Cohen has shit on him. I think Manafort, there's nothing there, because the whole idea with Manafort, that was supposed to be the Russian collusion thing.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, I don't believe that they'll ever prove that there was any collusion with...
Collusion's not a crime.
No, but conspiracy is. Conspiracy is an obstruction of justice. So
wasn't Mueller?
They're not trying to. But the thing is, the president keeps saying there was no collusion. There was no collusion. Collusion isn't a crime. That's not what they're going to charge him with. They're going to charge him with conspiracy.
Or treason outright.
Collusion isn't even a word in the law. I mean, it's
right. It's not even in the law.
most of the people that are talking about this is saying they're saying that they can't seem to find any conspiracy. There's guys that want to make conspiracy theories about all of this, but nothing's adding up to that.
I know. I heard that on Hannity myself last night.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Patrick.
I agree with Phil on that. I think people are reaching so far and trying to knit together stuff that just isn't there right now. That's not to say it won't happen, but I'll tell you what, after 2 years, this is beginning to look like a Ken Starr investigation.
Well, Ken Starr went on for 3 years.
Right, and Muller's
only been what, about a year actually. Hasn't been 2 years. Hasn't been even close to 2 years.
I think they're dealing with a different kind of group of people too. I mean, the Trump people know how to hide stuff. The Trump people know how to shuffle it around and that sort of thing. It's probably making it a little more difficult.
We also don't know what kind of picture Mueller has drawn so far. He may be seeing,
we don't know anything.
He may be seeing a larger picture from all the information he has.
Listen, if Mueller goes on for 3 years and we get to see pee-pee tapes because of it, I think worthwhile. Absolutely worthwhile. Oh, these girls are peeing on the president. I love it. It's worthwhile. 3 years.
How about the whole dossier?
Wait a minute.
And I don't care who the president is when that happens.
If he peed on them, would that be okay with you too?
That's still good. That's still good. Okay. That's entertaining.
Pee is pee.
Fair.
Yeah, pee is pee.
Yes, Patrick.
If he's peeing on them, you really want to see his dick?
What's that?
You really want to see his dick?
Oh, I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
I want to see his dick.
Well,
I want to see his little shrivel up grape-sized balls. I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah, great.
I want to see the comb over his balls. That little blonde comb over on his balls. I want to see the whole thing.
I think at his age, the balls are usually hanging pretty low.
Well, then it'll be a pretty big fucking comb over, won't it?
Yeah, really. Do you think the curtains match the drapes or the carpet? The drapes match the
Of course, he's a millionaire. He's going to have them color that just the same color as his hair. Yes, they'll match.
To begin with, there's no hair up there.
Well, there is hair, but not on his bald spot.
I wonder how long it takes them every morning to do his hair.
Good half hour.
Every day, his hair gets shorter. Have you noticed that? You know, if you look at pictures of when he was a candidate or on the that TV show, and then you look at pictures of him now, you can see that his hair is getting shorter, and every day. Have you haven't noticed that?
I've noticed. During his speech, he was touching it funny, like, is it still there?
I noticed that they've given it a better trim than he had.
Mm-hmm.
But it still looks god awful. I mean, if a wind gust comes along, he's dead.
Well, I mean, if I could have that much, I'd go for it.
Really? You could do it. You could do it if you had a good hairdresser who knew how to wisp that thing around the top of your head. Get some knitting needles in there and crochet a hair piece.
This is 3,500 hair plugs.
Really? Wow. Yeah. You really got your money's worth.
There's nothing left to donate, though.
Yeah.
Stick your head in a bag of Cheetos.
And wait a minute, what did you think the plugs were going to do for you?
Well, 15 years ago when I had it done, they filled in the areas that I still had hair.
Did it get you laid any more than before you got the hair plugs done?
No.
Okay, then that's the only reason you did it was to get laid and admit it.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. When I first got divorced, I went on Match.com. And I had people actually write me and say, no baldies. And so I went out and got hair plugs. And it didn't make a difference. Then they said no Jews.
That's nice.
To begin with, one time I actually asked women this on the air, and I got calls about it. I asked women, what do you think of guys who are bald? And a large amount of the women out there liked bald men.
Says Baldy.
Yeah, you look like Telly Savalas.
No, but I mean, who were some sex symbols back in the day? Yul Brynner, Telly Savalas. I mean, being bald has never been a problem. It's how you wear the baldness. you know, and you know, my friend Bob Schimmel, when he was still alive, told me, just go get your hair cut really short. He says, I call it preemptive baldness. It looks much better than if you try to get long hair in the back and so on. I mean, I had that Danny DeVito look for a while, you know?
Yeah, that's a nice look.
Yes, yes, Brian.
I was just going to say, yeah, there was some vanity associated with it, and I can understand. But, you know, another case in point that dovetails with this is, you know, men who dye their hair. If it's all gray, especially if in rare cases when you're in your 30s and even in your 20s in some cases, there's a YouTube host who has this problem. He's a full head of gray hair, dyes it black, but also even if you're like in your 50s, pushing 60, and you're going for a job interview, there's a practical aspect to that as well. You know, to make yourself look younger and more presentable to the interviewer.
Men who wear toupees and men who dye their hair look like they dye their hair and they wear toupees.
Yes. By the way, there is a fuck on our chat for this.
A fuck?
Yeah.
You mean
you know some Kevin, American Patriot?
Yep, I've been watching him.
What's the latest here? Mueller needs to look at Hillary if he wants to find collusion.
Lock her up.
Been there, done that, long time gone, goodbye. You fucking piece of shit, American Patriot.
Lock her up, American Patriot.
I mean, why don't you deal with what's here today? Let's lock him up, okay? Yes.
I think you're right. He's a Russian.
I think he's a Russian. I think he's a Russian. Coming to YouTube to try and yeah, you're American Patriot. You're a fucking commie. We know that. Yes, Patrick.
It's SG.
Not SG.
No, it's not
it's
SG. No, it's not SG. SG would just come on here and say it. You know.
Yeah. He liked to toy with the incognito with the sunglasses and the hat, and that he's not who he is. I mean, he doesn't have a fucking name.
And he gets us with the unwashed masses, and you know.
Well, I don't even believe that he's a conservative. I think he comes on and he plays one just to fuck with everybody. I really believe that.
Yeah. Well,
who's this? American Patriot?
No.
He's a Skype troll.
His name is SG, and he calls every now and then.
You're troll.
Oh. Yeah, but I think the American Patriot is a Russian. I think they're trying to invade our little thing here to.
We've got plenty of.
I finally saw the chat.
We've got plenty of homegrown American trolls who are far worse than anything Russia could ever produce.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I'd block him, but fuck it, I don't want to block anybody. You know.
You're good.
Because of their opinion. I'd block them if they were, being disruptive. Yeah, what?
All he's saying is his point here. I'm looking at what he says, and I don't see it being so bad. He's making a point. He says Mueller doesn't have anything, and
Mueller
needs
to look at Hillary if he wants to find collusion. What kind of collusion could Hillary possibly have been involved?
She and the DNC paid for the dossier. Along with the FBI,
what's wrong with that? It hasn't been proven. It hasn't been proven it's a phony. It has not been proven it's a phony.
Well, you don't listen to Hannity
or Tucker.
Yeah. How about
Tucker?
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, I don't care if Hillary did anything illegal or not. I don't want to see that ugly face and that Mao jacket wearing woman on my television anymore. She can go away and crawl into her troll hole and just fucking stay there. I mean, she looked like a rabid bitch at this point, and she, and just.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I think that she maybe is one of the worst candidates of all time. If we get right down to it, she was a
game show host.
And no mention of Kankles? Come on, people.
No, but if it wasn't for her, Trump's
that would be
jumpsuits would never be in fashion again. You know,
Look,
you see those suits
the
that she
woman-
wears, and she pays $8,000 a piece.
Wait a minute. The woman had to dress to hide a myriad of problems physically. Okay?
She could have worn a muumuu.
And it's the same way. She got a pantsuit for the same reason you got plugs. Okay?
To cover up my fat?
No,
she
that's
got a
wh- no,
pantsuit
that's
because she wanted to look
that's
like a
why
man.
you wear black all the time. Yes, Patrick.
It's thinning.
I mean,
I would.
her myriad problems, they weren't covered up. I mean,
Oh, no.
her face was still showing. So unless she wore a burqa, there really wasn't that could help.
And she would have.
So,
If that designer made burqas, she would have worn one. Matter of fact, that's what she was wearing, was an American burqa.
No, she was wearing a pantsuit, you know, which in a way, a lot of times a woman who is in the diplomatic corps will wear pantsuits to be more official. Okay, not unusual.
When I was in high school, I wore a Nehru jacket.
I had one and it was lime colored. Okay, that's how bad I was. I topped you.
Were you selling used cars, and did you have white shoes?
No, I didn't sell
wait a minute.
used
That's what they wear in Florida, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whoever got yeah, but you live in Florida now. Whoever got the idea that white shoes and plaid pants were a good idea? And will I wake up one morning and want them?
I never see any of that in Florida. I never see any white shoes and plaid pants.
Really?
No.
And white belts?
Nothing like that.
I just wonder. I just wonder if one morning I'm going to wake up and suddenly have this desire for plaid pants and white shoes.
Only if you pull them up. Only if you pull them up to your chest.
And a sensible belt.
It's a good thing I come out here in the morning and you're wearing pants, so I'm not worried about plaid pants.
Yeah, well, you know, I wear pants to hide a myriad of physical problems, you know.
Just like poor Hillary.
Just like poor Hillary. No, listen, Hillary, you know, Hillary always had a problem being fashionable. And when she was in Arkansas, they always used to give her a bad time because she never dressed really well. And finally, somebody did a makeover on her, and they started dressing her fairly well. But she was a hard woman to make look great.
Well, I thought she wore those Oshkosh overalls and a plaid lumberjack shirt.
No.
Just wait till we get Pocahontas on the trail, so to speak, on the campaign trail. She'll be looking.
That's
sweet.
what Melania wears when she doesn't want Donald to fuck her. Yes, Patrick.
I was going to say, when she was First Lady, and I believe I said that on this show when she was running, if she would just go back and look at photographs of herself when she was the First Lady and wear some of those outfits, she would be leaps and bounds ahead of where she was in fashion. And I mean, and I'm being serious here now, not just cutting her down.
But isn't it funny?
To take her seriously as a candidate, it just like with everyone else, you have to look the part, and she never did.
Let me take a Me Too approach to this, though. Would we be talking about a man that way?
Yes.
What would we be saying? Have you ever heard anybody criticize the way Trump was dressed? And actually, his suits were rather schlumpy.
How about Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders is not a good dresser.
Yeah, and nobody ever mentioned that except Phil, of course.
Yeah, he did. You'd hear it on the news every now and maybe not as often as Hillary, but you would hear especially about his ties. You were going on endlessly about his fucking ties.
Trump's ties.
Trump's ties.
There's only so much you can do with a suit. She wears different kinds of clothes every day, right?
Yeah, but what I'm
it's
saying,
the same suit, different color.
What I'm saying is that a woman gets nailed because she didn't look good and she didn't dress right and her hair wasn't good. And when a guy is running for office, they don't even say, hey, he really wears some lousy suits, you know. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, no, they said that about.
Women have you been hearing that have been running for office in the last several months get criticized about what they wear? Zero. I have heard none. It's only been Hillary, so the Me Too aspect is bullshit. It's her only. Every other woman I've seen run for any office in whatever state, in my own state, nationally, whatever, I don't hear anybody getting criticized.
Well, maybe because of the Me Too movement. Maybe because people are scared to say anything, because why should they say things
nobody's
like
going to
that?
say anything bad about Kirsten Gillibrand right now because of the way she leached onto the Me Too movement because she wants to be president. You know, I'd never vote for that cunt because of what she did to Al Franken. I felt it was abominable. She took one of the if you're a liberal, she took one of the best liberals, okay, the most ardent liberals in the Senate, and got him thrown out, chased him out of office. What was she thinking?
We haven't heard a word from Al Franken.
You know why? I think he just said, "That's it. You know, I've had it. I just don't need this shit."
Yeah.
And went back and said, "I'm going to have a happy life, and maybe I'll write some books or something, or I'll go back and do some TV or whatever. But I don't need this shit."
I mean, remember, he had another life.
Yeah.
He was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Was he a negative and ripping Trump a new one for the same kind of things that he's been accused of?
No, I don't think so. No.
So he wasn't.
He wasn't. Whenever he would nail Trump on political things and on political positions he was taking. But
not on his philandering.
No, I don't think. Actually, I don't think it. I don't even, put Trump on a stake because of his philandering. If you notice, I don't really complain about his philandering, but
we just envy it.
I don't envy it at all. You know, would you want to fuck Stormy Daniels? Come on.
Hey, I would fuck mud.
Come on. I don't think there's any.
If it was warm and wet.
These are all guys here, and I don't think there's a single one of us who would want to have sex with Stormy Daniels. Now, Karen McDougal was kind of very attractive.
Yeah, and that Christian thing attracts me too. You say you don't like it, but I like that Christian thing because they do it for God.
I like to do it because I'm lowering their self-esteem when they have sex with me.
Yeah. Hey, we did it with a Jew.
You know what? You're right, though. It has a lot to do with the fact that every president has had some kind of an issue like that within the bedroom, but
except
Nixon. This is just being brought out because he's got so much shit to bring out.
Well, what do you mean what do you mean by that they've had something about the bedroom?
You've heard it all the way back to Kennedy.
What about Obama? Obama's had nothing like that.
Well,
Obama. There's some exceptions.
No, Obama.
Nixon wasn't accused of those things.
Right.
Bush wasn't accused of those things. Although his father put his hand on some girl's ass, but because he was in a wheelchair and was the right height.
That's not the real point. The point is that he's got so much other shit going on. They're going to bring that out too. Just add to the pile.
Well, I think it started with the tapes in the bus and the accusations by some of the people that were.
Okay, but wait a minute. Let's look at.
Stepped on his own.
Wait a minute. Let's look at this for a second. I'm not going to argue about his affair with Stormy Daniels or with Karen McDougal. That's a private thing between himself, and if Melania finds out about it, between he and Melania, he has to answer to her, not to me.
And it was before
let me finish.
He ran for office.
But what I find disgusting is that he would probably, and I think on at least one occasion, and I'm trying to remember which one, Bill Clinton made a big deal about Bill Clinton's peccadillos.
He did that during the debate.
And in that case, fuck you, Donald. I'm going after you for sticking your dick in a porn star. Okay?
Yeah, he had these women in the audience when he was debating Hillary Clinton, and I thought that was kind of a low blow.
Yeah. Oh, good. My God, did we just hear that from Phil?
Here it comes.
Well, you know, and it was unfortunate that that Trump had to be in the presence of those women, and that no, I thought it was a low blow.
Yeah, it was a low blow, but because I mean Hillary was there, and I'm sure Hillary was never happy about the whole thing. You know.
No.
The problem we had with Clinton, and the reason you could nail him on this stuff was he was the first president we had really had in the modern era that was young enough that he was sexually active still. I mean, he really,
And Kennedy
still
wasn't?
Kennedy was, yeah, he was young too. But the younger presidents are going to have that little, I mean, come on, some young intern wants to blow you, you go, okay,
How about that Mamie Eisenhower?
Oh, yeah,
Speaking of which,
yeah.
Speaking of which, what do you think about that Asia Argento thing?
Asia. It's pronounced Asia.
Asiago, whatever.
Asia Argento.
Yeah, that's kind of reverse Me Too stuff going on there.
Well, she's a bit on the hypocritical side.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that it should, discredit the Me Too movement.
How much you want to bet that Weinstein paid this kid to come forward?
I don't know. It's always a possibility.
Maybe.
To discredit an accuser.
Well, that
and
is
a big profile. Yeah,
that is a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I won't put anything. I won't eliminate any possibilities where all that is concerned.
Yeah, I look at it and say, hey, if I was Weinstein, I would find somebody to discredit who's trying to, to drag me down, and and the kid needed money.
Yeah,
and it was probably public knowledge to some extent that this is what had happened. Hey, some 17-year-old kid bags the really hot actress, and she was in those issues. She was hot.
Well, Weinstein better find himself a bag load of other underage kids because he's going to need them too.
Well, yeah, but this is one. I mean, you only how do you eat an elephant?
Well,
one bite at a time.
In the case in New York, I think he's going to skate. And I think he's going to skate because of the recent revealing of those texts to him.
Yeah. Where they said she appreciated
from the woman who is the prime accuser, because she's the one that falls within the statute of limitations and so on. And she's, it's like, I had a wonderful time last night. I don't like being a booty call, but it's okay where you're concerned. Things like that. And
it's consensual.
And the fact was that the prosecutors failed to tell the grand jury about these texts, and because they failed to do that, it may throw the whole case out, and with it the rest of them will topple as well. Yeah. And this is what we call good lawyering.
Mm-hmm.
And
Trump will hire that guy.
I think there's a good chance he could skate on all of this.
But his career has been destroyed. His movie empire has been destroyed. He's been totally dethroned by these accusations.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you something, and I think maybe you and I talked about this at one point. No, it was Shecky that I was talking to. That's it. Shecky said, even I knew Harvey Weinstein was a pig this way. It was all over. Everybody knew this about Harvey. This was no big secret. So the falling of his empire and all of that shit is only what's coming to him,
Yeah.
Really.
Well,
so I don't feel sorry for him in that respect. I'll tell you who I feel sorry for. I feel sorry for our comedian friend Louis C.K. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, all these guys that got dragged down from that.
And also got dragged down early on in the Me Too thing. People who got dragged down later on, like Ryan Seacrest and people like that, managed to skate on it because, we've already taken enough people down.
Did you hear Kevin Spacey has a new accuser?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there was a movie that he released with no advertising to maybe 11 theaters, and it grossed less than $1,000.
Yeah, $613.
Yeah.
But it didn't have a good distributor. Okay, that was for one.
Was it Weinstein?
No. I'll tell you something. Here's a piece of news that came out tonight, and this one is amazing. What is the biggest show in television? Sitcom in television?
Trump's
no, come on,
Apprentice?
no jokes. What?
What's the biggest show in television now?
Sitcom in television.
Oh, geez.
Big Bang?
That's
right.
Not including Simpsons.
Big Bang.
Big Bang Theory, I guess.
Big Bang Theory. Last year, it had ratings still that were incredible. Averaged like an 18 per episode, right?
Yeah.
They're canceling it after this season.
No,
I think
heard
it's
that
time.
It might have been going on still.
No, it came out in Deadline Hollywood tonight. CBS, they say this is the last year for Big Bang Theory. And the reason is that they feel the show is dependent upon Jim Parsons being on it.
Yeah.
And he wants to go on and do other things. I mean, admittedly, they've all been doing this for 12 years. Right. And even if they never make another episode again, the residuals they're going to get from the reruns are going to be phenomenal, you know?
Yeah.
So
like Seinfeld.
So they feel that without Jim Parsons, there would be no Big Bang Theory. And the fact is, every single one of the 4 top people on that show are making $1 million an episode. And so it's also
2.5 Men. When Charlie Sheen was there, wasn't he getting somewhere near that?
Yes, but there were only 2 of them.
Much larger cast, yeah.
Yeah, it's a much larger cast. I mean, I think they offered him for 2 seasons, if he'd stay with it for 2 more seasons, a total of $50 million.
Wow.
And he just said, You know, I think that's wise of him. You know, why stay with it till nobody wants it around anymore?
He's a good actor, and I hope that his persona doesn't follow him to other roles, and he's able to expand on.
Well, he's been doing a lot of Broadway.
He
he's been doing a lot of Broadway, and he's been doing a lot of straight films, and you know,
he makes a hell of a villain.
Huh?
And I saw an interview of him. I just thought, you know, if he played some like serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer type or something,
but
some movie, I think
he probably would.
It would blow your fucking mind.
It's amazing that a show that is as big and still big after 12 seasons as Big Bang Theory, to have it canceled in what is still its prime is amazing. Of course, that happened kind of with 2.5 Men, which is also another gigantic.
No, Charlie Sheen killed it.
But Charlie Sheen killed it. Yeah.
What about Seinfeld? That was still on top at the time.
Seinfeld, Jerry decided, you know, 9 seasons is enough.
And he was offered $5 million an episode to keep going.
And let's leave while people still want us around. So,
yeah. Well, you know, I'm kind of happy about this because this will give me time to watch the new Murphy Browns that are coming out.
Yeah, right.
Which I can't wait for.
I can hardly wait.
I binge watched last season's Shameless because a new season's coming out, and for a couple of years I lost interest in it, but the season 8 actually was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to season 9.
I haven't watched. I've watched 1 episode of that show and have no desire to see it ever again. You know why? You know why? Because I saw the British show and it was good.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I hadn't seen the British show.
Yes,
Brian.
Murphy coming back. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's back.
Yeah.
September.
Ever since Roseanne.
Set your DVR.
Ever since Roseanne opened up Pandora's box, they're trying to bring back every half-baked comedy that ever was done on the network.
No, it wasn't Roseanne.
Tim Allen.
It was something before Roseanne.
Married with Children too, but
what did they do before Roseanne?
I forgot what it was. Something else came back before. Oh, it was the X-Files that started.
Oh, the
this.
X-Files.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never watched that.
That didn't do very well.
Did okay.
What?
Now the Roseanne remake without Roseanne is
right,
that
they're calling
that
Whitish, I think.
Whitish?
Whitish. That's the new series. Yeah.
I've heard.
I used to watch Blackish. Blackish, I think.
Whitish is the new Roseanne spinoff. Yeah.
Oh.
No, you know, I mean, I think that show will do fine without Roseanne. You know, if they keep the same writers and they got the same producers doing the thing and showrunners, no reason why it can't be successful. I'd watch it just for John Goodman.
Yeah.
You know? And the sister, what's her name? Laurie Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf.
Excellent actress.
Actor, sorry.
Yeah, I think and the daughter. I think they're going to make the daughter the main character. So I mean, I think they can do a good job with it. I was surprised that the new Roseanne I actually liked. Did you watch any?
Yeah, I did too.
I watched one episode.
Yeah.
I was never a fan of the show, so I can't.
I thought it was very good.
And what's there? 3 episodes of Better Call Saul. Now, the second episode was almost shot entirely in silhouette. Everything you saw was silhouetted by windows.
I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice that?
No.
Yeah, there was so many scenes that were dark, and I think that had to do with the burning up of the brother and so. Yeah. But there was a ton of that they were shot in silhouette.
What do you think of it this year?
I'm starting to get back into it. I mean, did you see this 3rd episode?
Yes.
Okay, when they killed the guy out in the desert, and they dragged.
He hasn't seen it yet. He hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't tell you who they killed, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean the whole thing with the Hummels? That went on forever, and didn't advance the plot one iota.
No.
I think the show's a little slow this year.
Hey, did I read right about series that are coming back? Alf is coming back too. I thought I read that.
Really?
Anybody hear that?
Not
it
with
is, right?
Well, I guess Bruce David can't write for it because he's dead.
Guess
Trying to
not, no.
resurrect Married with Children
Just
as well.
be another show I won't watch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, bring back Family Ties.
Family Tie. Which one was that?
That was what's his name?
Oh, Michael J. Fox.
Michael J.
Right.
Fox,
Yeah. Brian Keaton.
Yeah.
Bobby Keaton. Johnny
Back, let's
Keaton.
bring back my mother.
Michael J. Fox.
Let's bring back my. Oh, thank you
Phil,
very
that's
much,
just-
Mr.
that's-
Trump.
Well, hey, it was good for Trump.
Really, that's what I was
Trump did it.
I think while we're at it, let's bring back my mother, the car.
Never saw it, so I don't care.
Oh, that was a great one with Dick Van Dyke's brother, Jerry Van Dyke.
Yeah, but who played the mother?
Agnes Moorehead.
No.
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 No, you sure?
I'll say a name.
IMDb the thing.
I know. And Southern.
And Southern. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The car talked.
I don't have to go to IMDb. I am IMDb.
Self-centered there.
Yeah.
Car 54, where are you?
Well, that was a funny show.
Yeah.
You know,
That guy's dead too.
they're all dead.
They're all dead, yeah.
You know, I mean,
Franklin.
Star Trek. Star Trek's not coming back because they're all dead. You know.
Next
Hey,
Generation's
Shatner
coming
will
back.
never die.
Huh?
Next Generation, Patrick Stewart's coming
Patrick
back.
Stewart's coming back. Yeah, they're gonna do. But
Jean-Luc Picard.
It's gonna be
coming
called
back.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
You know.
I figured they were done with Next Generation since they killed Data off in that last movie in 2002.
Did they kill him off? How do you?
Nemesis, whatever it was called.
Oh, wait a minute. How do you
It's a
kill
spoiler.
off? How do you?
Tom Hardy.
Wait a minute. How do you kill off a android?
Off at the end of the film to save the crew.
No, but
I think you're right about that. But he had a twin, didn't he? Loki.
Yeah, and
What happened to him?
There may be like 20 other Datas
we don't
in the
know.
factory.
That's right.
You know.
There were only 2, according
As
to the,
far as we know.
canon of that film. But Albert brought up,
Yeah, but
there
we
was
don't
this
know that in a
quote-unquote
cave
brother.
somewhere they aren't going to find an old Data somewhere.
You know, the science fiction, you can do whatever the hell you want. Look what they did with Doctor Who. Now he's got a million more lives.
Yeah,
You know,
he was
come on.
only supposed to have 12 lives, and they just used of the 12th life,
Yeah.
right? And so now they're bringing him back, and he has a vagina.
Data can come back.
They
Right.
can start over.
They can
You
start
know what
over.
resurrects these characters? Money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I know Doctor Who was that whole thing about the regeneration was created as a way of somehow explaining why they were replacing one actor with another.
Mm-hmm.
And so once they did that, they went, it's not a bad idea, you know, and any guy who wants to leave, we just, excuse me.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Bless you.
No, but anyway, you know, that was a perfect way to be able to replace the old guy with a new guy. And that's why it's been that way with Doctor Who. You don't care about Doctor Who, do you, Patrick?
I care more about whoever was the last person that took a shit while was in their turn.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah. But the way you're explaining Doctor Who is the same way that James Bond was explained to me, that James Bond isn't necessarily a person, that 007 was the title and then named James Bond, but it could be any person taking that position or whatever you want to call it. Because I have never seen one 007 movie in my entire existence.
I don't believe you. Really?
I've never, because the problem I have is when we take a main character and then we switch actors. It's like, that's why I lost my interest in superhero films, is when Batman kept, in 1989 when Batman came out, it was exciting for me on the big screen, Michael Keaton, and then they switched it after, the third one?
Yeah.
And I said, fuck it. And then I'm watching 17 different Spider-Men.
Oh, yeah, the Spider-Man thing is, yeah.
It's all fucked up, and I could never wrap my head around 007. And then somebody explained it to me that it's more of a title or a position than the person. So it can be any person.
It's a brand name. It's a brand name. That's really what it is.
Like Clorox.
Yeah.
Well, the latest speculation is that Idris Elba is going to be the next.
And my question is, why would he want to be?
007. Why not? It's a good
I think
role.
he's got enough of a career. I think being Bond is a career killer.
I don't think so for him. I think it'd be fine for him. It didn't do anything for the last Bond. He came out of it fine.
Well,
fine actor.
Yeah, but he's not doing a lot. You know,
he's doing more than Sean Connery got to pick from while he was doing Bond.
Yeah. But I think there's some other people that can play Bond too. I'm trying to remember the guy's name who did this thing, The Night Manager. Did you see that?
No, I haven't. But
yeah,
I haven't
it's
seen
great,
it yet,
and that guy would be perfect to be Bond. I mean, it's.
Well, I heard once upon a time Sam Neill auditioned for the role of James Bond. Huh. Once upon a time, like during the Timothy Dalton years and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they probably looked at him.
Grant from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for years, I think there's a whole period of Bond where you could just avoid it. I think the Roger Moore era, you could just forget.
Yeah. I thought Roger Moore was good.
Not that bad, no. Not as
I
bad
talked
as...
to a Bond fan who loved Roger Moore.
Well, no, but he played the Saint, and he played Bond like he was playing the Saint. You know? And it was not very good. Not very good. I thought it was terrible.
The guy was a fan. I mean, he was a true blue fan, much like you, Alex. He followed the films, and he thought that Roger Moore was the best. But, you know, his personality was different.
Well, a lot of people say that you like the Bond you were born with.
Who was the first one?
Huh?
Who was the first Bond?
You don't know that? You don't know that?
Came out first.
Sean Connery.
What?
Sean Connery.
Well, Sean Connery, but that could be
okay.
That could be
I remember the car, the DB4 Aston Martin. That's what I remember.
I rode in that once.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a parade, the actual car they used in the movie. But anyway, hey, listen, we got.
Did you shoot the gun?
No.
Probably down the concourse this week.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, thank you, Jeff. Nice to have you back every night now, because he came back from from Italy. And he's all posted up. He came from Italian dinner tonight, too.
Yeah, I did.
Patrick, thank you so much. And Brian, we'll see you again as soon as possible. Same thing to you, Phil and Kevin. Always great to have Santa on our show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it was nice, Albert, being your guest again.
And you, Phil, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Anyway, everybody.
It's the miracle of modern medicine.
Everybody, do yourself a favor and wave goodbye to the audience out there. Yeah, thank you. And hey, nice having you here.
And thank you for having me here.
Yeah, and come back again, do the show, but to come back and hang out here because I've really enjoyed
I'm
the time with
to
you. Anyway, that's our old friend Albert paying us yet one more visit. Let me go offline here. And let me also kill this here. I got to kill all this so the next show can use it without my problems. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same station in life. At 1 o'clock this morning, it's Connections. Tomorrow night, it is, it's just me at 10 o'clock because Damien's off this week. And so we'll see you at 10 o'clock. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.